Hi, everybody. I'm Robin, and these are my reflections. And today I am going to get started on my Buffy tag. I am doing a video response to Rumor Haven. She released a tag called Scooby Dex, and I wanted to do it, but I have been going back and forth about these decks. I didn't know what I was going to do. So, what I decided to do was go ahead and get started filming and just when I think of one to just film it and be done with it because because if I sit and think and think and think to go through all of these characters, by the time I get to the end, I may never finish. So I am just going to get started. And I'm saying all that to say you may see my background change. You may see my nail polish change. Things may change because I am probably going to be filming this over the course of several weeks. Just like I said, as I think of one and decide on one, I'm just gonna go ahead and film it. Um, so it's gonna be very pieced together because I can't decide. I'm all over the place with these decks. This has taken a lot of concentration and characterization study, which has been kind of a little bit challenging, but also quite gratifying. I like it. I'm having a good time thinking about it. I've been rewatching Buffy because um, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer deck is coming out in a couple of weeks from the time I'm filming this. I think we've got 2 weeks left, and I haven't been rewatching these. These are my old DVDs, y'all. Like I have them all still, which is crazy because when I first started watching Buffy, and just so you know, this one is not. Let me just hang on. I don't want them to fall. This one is not in its. It's not sealed. I have been watching this. It's just still in the plastic for some reason. But these I watched them. These have probably been still in there, in collecting dust for months now, years really, like 10, maybe 15 years or something like that since I watched these DVDs. But I have them all. And when I first started watching Buffy, we'll just put that there for ambiance. When I first started watching Buffy, actually, we were still doing videotapes, VHS cassette tapes. If you guys don't know what those are, it's what we were doing before DVDs. And I started collecting these when they started releasing them because I love Buffy. And I used to, this is a funny story. I used to actually record it on tape for my teacher because I had an English teacher who loved Buffy, but because she was a teacher, she had to go to bed before it came on because teachers get up mad early in the morning. She couldn't stay up to watch it. So I would record it on VHS for her every week and then give her the VHS the next day. This is old school, y'all. I'm so old. So I remember specifically the one where she killed Angel and bringing the tape to her and thinking, oh my gosh. And she was like, don't, if, she was like, did she kill him? Like, I'm not going to watch tell me like what happened. Like, I'm not. And I was like, no, oh my God, I lied to that woman. And she came the next day and was like, I'm so mad. Like, she's like, you lied to me. But I wanted her to watch it. I didn't want to give it away and then have her not watch it. But anyways, so yeah, stories from olden times, y'all. Like when we had to like be there to see it. We didn't have Netflix. Like now I'm watching the show on Netflix, obviously. No, on is it on Prime that I'm watching it? I don't know. I'm streaming it now. I don't use these DVDs anymore. But back then we didn't have that. Did we have Netflix? I don't think we even had the mail-in Netflix. I think we had because we were still doing VHSs. So I don't even think we had the mail-in Netflix yet. We didn't have no Netflix. We didn't have any streaming services at all. Um, so you had to be there. Like you had to be there to watch it when it came on, or catch a rerun, or you were screwed. So my poor teacher, I always recorded for her because I felt bad for her because she had to get up early, and oh, by the way, spoiler alerts are coming. I can't not do that. I don't have the deck yet, so I'm not going to spoil that for you guys. If I get it before I finish filming this, I may put a flip through at the end. I'll warn you before that though. But I don't plan to do a full walkthrough of the deck on the channel because I want to enjoy my deck by myself. I don't want to be worried about videotaping. So I am not gonna, but I might stick it at the end of this if I have it by the time this comes out. But there'll be plenty. There'll be plenty of walkthroughs. So this is and yeah, like, I'm gonna just, I don't know. Should I leave this here as we go through? Let's leave that there. Is Giles on the cover of one of these? Let's see. Yeah, let's start with Giles. So Giles for me is the character that is, I mean, yes, he's the librarian. Yes, he's the teacher. Yes, he's the watcher. But he loves knowledge, but he also loves it to a point where he feels everyone should have it. And he studies and then he teaches and he wants to show everyone everything that's going on, everything that he's learned. Um, and I think he reminds me of what I've heard about Aleister Crowley in that way, in the way that he is just like, yes, there's knowledge, but fuck all the hiding it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I think that's the reason he and Buffy got along so well because he loves tradition, but he also knows when it's time to sort of make new traditions or honor people's the way people work through their own traditions. And he didn't get along with the Watchers because of that, right? Like he ended up getting fired and everything. So so I think of Giles as being sort of that person who pushes the boundaries. Yes, he wants knowledge and he understands tradition, but he also wants to share that knowledge. He doesn't want to hide it. And so, in that way, Giles is the Thoth tarot to me, like if I was going to choose a deck for him. However, I don't have a Thoth tarot. I don't have one because I don't do Thoth, but I do have this one. This is the Urban Tarot, which is a Thoth adjacent by Robin Scott, published by US Game Systems. Um, so yeah, we're gonna look at this one for Giles. My choice for Giles will be the Urban Tarot. Um, I also feel like this kind of fits him because it's like giant in the way that old ass tarot decks I assume used to be. I don't know for sure, but and also, like it makes me think of the way that this deck is giant. It feels like the way old decks used to be, in the way that his old books used to be just big for no damn reason. But yes, this is my pick for Giles. It is the most thothy deck that I own. I don't know for sure because I don't own a Thoth deck, but I feel like it's pretty close. Um, Y'all have to let me know in the comments below how close this is to Thoth. It also kind of, as I was going through the images, it reminded me of like young Giles as well. That sort of punky, push the boundaries, playing in a band with the leather jacket guy that he was in his 20s. Before he decided to actually accept his his position in the Watchers Council and become a Watcher. When he was studying history and all of the things, he was pushing those boundaries. And I think he even said he like dropped out of school at one point and like ran off to the city. And like he was like summoning demons and doing all kind of shit he wasn't supposed to be doing. So I feel like this is Giles. I mean, the images to me remind me of that part of Giles as well, which is always dormant in him, which is how he ended up getting fired. Like, so, yeah. So I think that this is my pick. For those reasons, this is my pick for Giles. This is the Urban Tarot by US Games from Robin Scott. Okay, so let's do Tara. Tara is, oh my goodness, what Tara. She's so sweet and so kind. And she started out, um, she's probably the purest character on the show, right? The one that is pure love and pure joy and pure magic, and I love her character because it's like a breath of fresh air whenever she comes through, right? And so I want to say that Tara reminds me of this deck. This is the Tarot of Mystical Moments by Katrin Waldstein, published by US Games. It's new in my collection, so I don't know it that well, but it does remind me of Tara. She is this is her. She is just, my goodness, this sort of deep, beautiful deck, like it. on the surface, it seems like it's a little out of place, like these old people in these sort of strange lands, right? And she kind of felt a little out of place too. She wore clothes that were a little out of place for her time and her generation. She didn't talk much, and she was shy, and I'm not really checking for her. Her clothes are weird and she doesn't even talk. But then you get to know her and you realize that she is a deep spirit, like a old spirit, and very knowledgeable about witchcraft. She's got a beautiful mysticism to her. Um, and she's a little strange, and she's different, and we like that. And I feel like all of the things that she is this deck. It's different, it's a little quirky, it's a little weird, but it's beautiful. And it's pure in its weirdness, it's pure in its quirkiness. And she's the same way. She's so pure. She's like pure magic and pure love and pure, I don't know, like a breath of fresh air when she comes in, right? And it's like you would think a hug from her would be like the best thing in the world, right? And so I kind of feel like this is the deck for her. I think that this is Tara. This sort of, especially the cards like this, really make me think of her. That this is Tara. I think Tara is the tarot of mystical moments. Okay, so there was another watcher. His name was Wesley, and I wanted to do a deck for him. He was more popular, I think, on the Angel show, but he was in Buffy, and I didn't actually watch Angel too much when it was out because I think it came on Friday nights, and I don't know, I was too busy. By the time Angel came out, I was already, I think, in college, and maybe even out of college by then. So I wasn't checking for Friday nights watching TV. Buffy, I was already obsessed with, so I wasn't gonna miss that. But but Angel, not so much. My mother loved it though. She loved Angel, and I think the only reason she watched it is because I had left her. I watched Buffy all the time, and then she kind of got caught up in the mystery. Now Buffy wasn't for her because that was a bunch of teenagers, but Angel, they were grown people, so she was more interested in that one. So she watched Angel and I never did. So in 2020, when I was rewatching all the things, I rewatched Angel, Buffy, Baywatch, Silk Stockings, Highlander, like all the things. I rewatched so many shows. I watched Angel, and so Wesley sticks out to me, and I have a deck for him. I am going to give him the Doodle Tarot. Wesley was a watcher that when he got to the Buffy show, he's different on Angel, but when he got to the Buffy show, he was new and green from the Watchers Council, and he just seemed like he was the type of person that would have his little notebook in hand. He's still referring to his notes from class, like super excited. Like, oh my goodness, I'm a watcher now. I'm actually in the field. And, I just think of this deck with having, especially with these backs in this composition notebook, it just really makes me think of him, like the young, excited watcher with still notes in his pocket that he's referring to because he doesn't know what the hell is really going on. While everybody else has been fighting demons for years, he's still got to check his notes. And so this deck really, really reminds me of him. So I am going with the Doodle Tarot. This is the Doodle Tarot, and this is my pick for Wesley. Okay, Buffy and Angel. So for Buffy, I don't know. Y'all. I think I'm going to just go with the Tarot of Haunted House. Buffy was given she was a young girl given an ancient power that she didn't really ask for, but was dealing with it in a badass way, right? And she was just making that shit work. And I and she kind of liked it, at times. She liked being powerful, and she liked being able to kick demon butt or whatever. But she at times wanted to just be a girl, and I feel like Raven in this deck, which is the main character of this deck, was the same. I think she was gifted this house, and she goes there, or she was, summoned there, and she gets there and it's crazy, and she has to fight for her damn life. And it's kind of, and she makes that shit work, in the end, she ends up being the mistress of the house. And let's see if this is the last card in the major arcana. That's like the world card, and it's like, yes, she's badass by the end. And I feel that this reminds me sort of Buffy's journey. Also, Raven's cute, and then so was Buffy, and all of those things. So I kind of yeah, I mean, there's even vampires in here. She's fighting. Look at this. Like that's Buffy right there. Like fight for her damn life. Like all kind of craziness coming out the woodworks, not just vampires, like just stuff. And she's like, God damn, what did I get myself into? So yeah, I consider this to be the Buffy deck. This is the Tarot of Haunted House from Los Garabatos. Now for Angel, I have in the Buffy, Angel is a very different character than he is in the Angel show, right? So I'm gonna go with the Buffy version of Angel. And in Buffy, he was doing a lot of skulking around in the dark, a lot of brooding. I mean, he does some brooding in the other show too, but not as much skulking around in the dark and all of that. So he basically would just like pop up around dark corners, and Buffy would be like, oh wait, let me guess, evil's afoot, like if you're here, evil must be afoot. So and then she eventually ended up falling in love with him, and so then you see him more in the light, like he'll come into her bedroom and stuff like that. But he did a lot of skulking in the beginning, and even towards the end, and once he became evil and all of that, living underground and all that. So I'm going with hang on. I'm going with the Darkness of Light tarot for him. It's very moody. It's very, let me see if I can get it out the box so you can see it. All right, here we go. It's very moody. It's very edgy. It's darkness of light, and that's Angel. And plus, he was the one who was the vampire with the soul. So if you're talking about mixing darkness and light, there you go. A demon with a soul. It has pops of color here and there. Every now and then, Angel's outfits had a little pop of color. He would have a little red shirt or a little blue, under that black jacket. Oh, this is so entertaining. Yeah, Darkness of Light. That's my pick for Angel. I want to throw Miss Calendar in there. I don't think she was on the original list, but I'm gonna toss her in here. She's one of my favorite characters, and probably the only character that, well, no, maybe not the only one. When Buffy's mom died, I was very sad. But she was the first character, and one of the only characters that I was sad to see go. Like I was really sad when she died, and I think because Giles was so upset about it. And then when Buffy's mom died, I pretty much I cried. I cried like the whole rest of the world, but like a little baby. But like, it was such a sad episode. But I'm choosing the Bicycle Cats playing cards for Jenny Calendar because she was a traveler, so they used playing cards for divination, right? And this is the deck that I have designated. Let me zoom you in because these are tiny. These are playing card size. This is the deck that I have designated to use for divination. I have a lot of playing card decks, but someday I plan to learn to divine with them, and and this is the one I want to use. And so one of the ones that I have designated. And I like this one for her because Jenny Calendar was a little bit cat-like, wasn't she? She was very sensual, a little bit, she could be a little sexy little minx. And also, I like the style of these cards because they're sort of old, but also with this sort of like new kind of computer generated pips and stuff. So it's like the old meets the new, and that's kind of Jenny Calendar, right? Because she was doing online covens before it was a thing, Now I feel like everybody has an online coven, but back then nobody had one, right? And she was doing all of that kind of stuff back then. She was bringing the old into the new age. And I feel like this deck does a good job of illustrating that. And since it's a playing card deck, I feel it fits good with her tradition, her who she was, and it's a cat deck, and it's minxy like she was, because she could get a little saucy. That one, like, oh, Rupert, like. So I'm going with this one. This is the bicycle cat playing cards, and this is my pick for Jenny Calendar. Okay, Xander. So Xander is the sweetest, cutest, most happy go lucky guy, but very smart and very loyal, right? And actually quite useful as the show goes on. He becomes like a carpenter. He fixes all the broken windows that Buffy's always throwing people through. So he's like he's very useful. I find him to be very dog-like, and not dog-like in like a negative sense of what people say, like, oh, he's a dog. I don't mean it like that. I mean it like friend, like best friend, man's best friend kind of dog. The reason we love dogs. And I don't have, I only have one dog deck. I was complaining to a friend of mine about how I don't have a dog deck and I have so many cat decks. And she found this one online for me and sent it to me along with another deck. It is a knockoff, so don't come for me. She didn't know. And whatever. It's a gift and I'm keeping this. But I have not seen this deck before. I'm not sure where you could find the original. This is, like I said, a knockoff, but it is a dog deck and it is super cute and it reminds me of Xander. So let's pull them out. They are a little faded and they're small, so I'm gonna zoom you in. But because it's a knockoff, the artwork is a little faded. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it that well, but yeah, I can't even. I think is that Ibo Tarot. Um, these little cute little puppies are so adorable. And like a dog, they are, look at that. Like, they're loyal, they're friendly, they're fun, they're just happy to be alive, they're helpful. Um in all the ways that Xander is. And also they can be smart and very observant, right? Like, dogs know when things are there before you do. They trust their instincts. And I think Xander was the same. He really um he had to trust his instincts. I mean, he wasn't the the smartest as far as like book smarts went, like Willow or Giles, but he had good instincts, and he was just very truthful, very honest, like a little dog, like a little puppy, like, yeah. So I'm going with this one. This is let me see if I can find, yeah. I don't know. This is, yeah. Look. Yeah, this is definitely my Xander deck. Because he is man's best friend. Well, he's Buffy's best friend. So his Ibo tarot deck is my pick for Xander. Okay, next up is Kendra. I don't know if she was on the original list or not, but she's on my list, and I am adding her in because there were only a couple Black characters on this show, and I'm not leaving her out. Okay, so Kendra will be my pick for her is the Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot from U.S. Game Systems by Wayne Rodney. I don't have too many decks that remind me of her. She was I picked this one because, well, for one, hang on, I'm gonna zoom in. Kendra was from the islands, man. She was from the islands, and she had this very thick, I don't even know what accent, and it was, I don't know. I don't want to say it was bad because I don't know. I can't be sure. I can't remember that clearly, and I'm not the accent police, but it was a lot. It was a lot, and it let you know that she was from somebody island. She was also very strong. That was another character. When she died, I was very sad. The way she died was so sad. But she was very strong. She was very smart. Um, and this deck is the same. It's strong. It's smart, and it reminds me. I don't know, something about it. I don't know if it's the art style or if it's the. I'm keeping it in order because I want to do a walkthrough of it, and I haven't done it yet. So I think it's cards like this that really give me sort of island vibes, like when I say island, I'm talking about Caribbean islands or Caribbean islands. I'm not talking about like, like Asia, like Southeast Asia or even the Pacific Islands. I'm talking about around where I am, like the Caribbean and um, near America, those islands. So, and these sort of remind me, especially cards like this, give me Kendra vibes. So this is my pick for Kendra. She was the other Slayer for anybody who doesn't know. Buffy passed away in the first season or maybe the second. I can't remember. She got in a fight and she died, but she only died for like a minute. And the way it goes, if you don't know, is that there can only be one Slayer at a time. So when one dies, another one is called, and she died for like a minute, and then they brought her back to life. But in that minute, another one was called, and Kendra was the other one that was called. So the first other one that was called. There were a couple more called. Well, one more specifically, and then and then some potentials. So anyways, this even kind of looks like the outfit she was wearing. She had that one outfit. She was like, and I remember there was an episode where she got in a fight and the person, I think it was it Spike, cut her shirt and she was like, that was my only shirt. It was so stupid. Some of the stuff they say in the show at the time was fine, but now when you look at it, you're like, this shit is terrible. Like it's terrible. It would not fly today. It would not fly today. But anyways, this is the Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot, and that is my pick for Kendra, the other Slayer. Anyanka. Oh, Anyanka. So let's talk about Anya. Anya for me is the little odd tarot. And hear me out on this one, right? Anya started out a demon. She started out a human and she became a vengeance demon. And her job was to if that's not Anya, I swear. Her job was to smite men who wronged women. And she did that for like 1,000 years or some shit like that before she finally stopped, and I can't remember what it is that caused her to become human again, but she became human. And after 1,000 years of being a demon, living in a human world, it was not like, I mean, it probably felt a little like this. She was a little odd. She just did not fit in for shit. She could not see, when she was human, it was 1,000 years ago. The world was very different, and she could not understand people and why they acted the way they did. She didn't understand herself or her own body, really. She was just like out there just trying to make it, y'all. I felt her though. I think Anya might be probably my favorite character on the show. When she showed up, I was like, yes, her, I love her. Oh my, Anyanka. So Anyanka was her name because she was like real mad old, and then they called her Anya. But she didn't know much about being human, but what she did know was that she liked money. Um, she couldn't understand why people thought bunnies were cute, and she was very truthful about everything she said, and she knew she loved Xander, and that's what she knew. And the rest of the shit she was just trying to figure out in this world. And she looked just like these people. She stood out. She was weird and she was a little bit odd, but lovable, just like these little characters on this deck. So, yeah, I'm going with this one for Anya. This is the little odd tarot. Ooh, please excuse my lighting. I wanted to knock this out real quick. Faith. Um, yeah, I don't like Faith. I never liked her. She got on my nerves from day one. She was getting on folks' nerves, causing trouble from day one. I chose my third eye tarot. I got this from Make Playing Cards a couple of years back for Faith. This even feels like her on the back of these cards. A dark-haired menace. She, uh, oh, look at this. I think it's cool how this card popped up and with the lights coming in through the blinds. And I'm having the same issues with the lighting on my table with the lights coming in through the blinds because of where the sun is. It's neat. Anyways, so this deck has always given me teenage angst vibes. And Faith was the epitome of a problematic teenager with daddy issues. Look at her. Look at this. This was like, I mean, this is like the saucy version of her, right? If she had that sugar daddy. Well, he wasn't really a sugar daddy. He was more like a real daddy, but she had daddy issues. Look at this. Look at that. Is that the mayor? This was her holed up in her apartment that he got for her. Like, she was a mess. She was a hot mess. And she got on my nerves from day one. And I feel like this deck is her, you know, on all of her levels and all of her iterations. Um, you know, the hot mess teen drama that was on my nerves from the beginning. Even some of these people are even wearing the things that she used to wear on the show. So if I had a My So-Called Life deck, that might be better, but I don't. So we're going with this one. And this is my pick for Faith. This is the third. Oh, it's my third eye tarot, and you can get this. I think you can still get this on Make Playing Cards. Look at that. If that's not Faith, that's a scene out of Buffy right there. Dawn. Okay, so Dawn is a copy of Buffy made from her own skin and bones, right? Um, but not. She's like the more basic version, right? She's the little sister. She's nowhere near as exciting. She can't do all the things Buffy could do. Please excuse my voice. I'm a little sick, but but she, you know, serves the same basic purpose as far as like DNA and all of that goes, right? So yeah, I find them. I wanted to pick a deck that, you know, is made of the same stuff from the same company, also in the same system, right? But one is much more, you know, dark and exciting and action packed, and the other one is just more basic, right? And so I picked the Tarot of Haunted House. Well, I already had picked the Tarot of Haunted House for Buffy last week, and I wanted to go with the Book of Shadows Tarot Volume 2, So Below, for um for Dawn, because the So Below deck is, it's a basic deck, right? It's supposed to be like earthly as opposed to its counterpart, which is more mystical, more above, right? It's more spirit and all of that, and this one is more of earthly realm. So I feel like if this is Buffy, where this is super exciting and all of the action happening, then this is Dawn. You know, like she's just kind of sweet and kind of there, living her life. She's very basic, you know, and just, you know, not super exciting, but made of the same stuff from the same origin. Just like these two decks come from the same publishing company on the same card stock. Well, this one is a little bit different because it's their older. But yeah, that was my pick for Dawn. So this is the Book of Shadows Tarot Volume 2, So Below, for Dawn. Oz was so difficult for me. I don't know, man. So, what is Oz? Oz is a werewolf. Oz is a quippy, short, little, funny dude that's really cool, effortlessly cool. And he has a way with words that I quite love. The way he says things and getting to the point, but like in this roundabout way. I really liked his character. He was a lot of fun, but he had a wild nature that he was trying to, like, he didn't know he had, right, at first. And then I'm just going to tell you, this is the deck Seeker Oracle that I've chosen for him. Let me get it out of the box while I talk about him. Um he had a wild nature that he at first didn't know he had, and then he was trying to suppress, and through trying to suppress it, he, you know, was trying to find himself, seeking knowledge, seeking wisdom all over the world, in the way that this deck seeks knowledge and wisdom of certain parts of yourself, right? Or certain parts of the world, and how you can use those parts of the world to better your, or parts of, I don't know. I'm sick, y'all. You know what I'm trying to say. Also, this deck has a lot of sort of wild um, animals, a kind of a wild nature to it but that's beautiful, that should be accepted. But he spent so much time trying to suppress it, or even just find a way around it. And he felt he wasn't good enough. Um, Went all around the world seeking a way to stop it or be better, when really he just needed to find his way back to himself, right? And so, and how to actually accept it rather than suppress it. And I feel like this deck is for that type of seeking of that type of knowledge. Oh gosh, I'm sick. Let me get out of here. Yeah, and even like this card here where it's like not so black and white, um it really wasn't so black and white, right? It wasn't like um he was just bad and he was a werewolf. I mean, he was something else, but he wasn't just bad. Even when they were doing the even they were doing the episode where they found out he was a werewolf, it was like, okay, she kills demons and stuff, but don't shoot them, they're human, right? Like, so there was no black and white there with him. I like the stack for him. um I also like the way that Raven, is it, what is her name? Raven Falan has worded these phrases at the bottom. I think that they're kind of neat and a little bit different, like raise them up, um, reap what you sow. I think it's fun. Respond with grace. I mean, that one's normal. See the patterns. Some of these are a little bit more interesting, but and I think that the way that, like this one, shameless sensuality. There's one in here called like a queen bee, a king bee. I feel like the way that she says it is a little bit of a interesting turn of phrase, and I think that the way Oz speaks is also interesting. He never just says anything. His words are like little, I don't know, pithy, um, I don't know, cool phrases that make sense, but then don't. I don't know. I like him. I like the way he talks. So I picked this one for him. So this is my choice for Oz. This is The Secret Oracle by Raven Fillet from Blue Angel, from Blue Angel Publishing. This is my pick for Cordelia. This is the 78 Tarot Magical. Go with me on this one, okay? The reason I picked this for Cordelia, I know this deck is not super pretty and super like Cordelia-esque or whatever, but Cordelia was a character in this show that literally evolved, and she had like a million different personalities throughout the different shows. So she started out as this like vapid, bitchy girl that had no knowledge of anything outside of her own self, very self-absorbed, quite mean, girlish. Then she, discovered that there were things out there bigger than her and people were trying to save her from that. And she became a little bit more appreciative, but not that much. Then she was Xander's girlfriend, which I hated that version of her. Oh my God, I hated that version of her so hard because she mistreated Xander. And Xander was a little doggy, and anybody who kicks a dog should go to hell. So she was always kicking him. So I did not like her in that version. But my point is that then she went off to Angel. She became a different person altogether. And she just had a great arc. She changed so much in the way that people do at that age, right? She started out, we saw her as a teenager, and she grew up. She started learning things. Her life changed. Her home life changed. She went from being rich to being middle class and to being straight up poor and having to work for a living the way most people do, and not being able to make ends meet, having to steal food from parties and things like that. And it just was very interesting to watch her develop over the two shows. And in that way, I feel like she is this deck because this deck develops, it's all sorts of different personalities because it's done by so many different people, right? And so anyone you look at, you never know what you're going to get from one of these cards. And I think it's the same way with Cordelia. Sometimes you'll be watching her. She was in almost every episode, but you never knew what you were going to get from her. Are we going to get bitchy, evil Cordelia today? Or are we going to get really sweet Cordelia? Or are we going to get, helpful Cordelia? Or are we going to get a little bit like she actually knows something besides, how to paint her nails and do her makeup Cordelia? Or are we going to get, like, what are we gonna get? Are we are we gonna get accountant Cordelia running the business? Like, which Cordelia are we gonna get today? Angel's best friend, like, so, or the boy crazy, or what are we gonna get? So I think that it was the same with this deck. You never know what you're gonna get. So this is my pick for Cordelia, and this is the 78 Tarot Magical. Okay, my deck is coming today. I got an email yesterday, so I am trying to, every time I get a little bit of a minute, to film the rest of this so that I can be done with this, because I want to watch the other videos and I want to watch the walkthroughs and go through my deck and have like a Buffy couple of weeks. So let's do Willow. This is my pick for Willow, Tarot of the Abyss. This is the witchiest deck I own, and Willow was our resident witch, right? I wanted a black and white deck for Willow. I really did. So I was so happy that I happened to have this in my collection, which is a witchy deck that is black and white. And the reason I wanted a black and white deck for Willow is because I feel like Willow had, she, in the way that Cordelia changed and grew up, Willow changed and grew up too, but she changed based on the people around her. So it was like almost like she was a blank slate and people were coloring her in, And um, everyone that colored on her changed the way she looked. And then we were able to like shake the etch a sketch and watch it, wipe it clean, or maybe clean it off. And then um, put in new color to get a new look, right? And so we go from nerdy Willow who barely talks to anybody to, Willow that can stand up for herself a little bit, even though it's a little bit uncomfortable because she knew Buffy, right? And then Willow who was addicted to magic because she met Amy, and then Willow who was a little bit sexy because she met Oz, and then Willow who learned how to love because she met Tara and really appreciate, love herself and all of that. And then we got Willow who badass Willow from the pain of losing Tara, right? So we see all of the different Willows, but they're colored in by all of the life that she lives, and the people that she meets in her life. She's really affected by the people in her life. And so that's why I wanted a black and white deck for her. And I chose this one because it's my witchiest black and white deck. It's very witchy. And I like it. I like it a lot. So Tarot of the Abyss is my pick for Willow. Last but absolutely not least is Spike. My favorite of all of the vampires on the show, Spike. I love me some Spike. I am team Buffy and Spike. I think the relationship between Buffy and Spike, as toxic as it um, was honest, and it brought out parts. It allowed Buffy to be a part of herself that Angel was always trying to suppress. I didn't like that. I didn't like him trying to change who she was all the time. You know what I mean? So I preferred Spike for her, even though their relationship was quite toxic too. Like the whole thing was kind of crazy, but he saw her. You know what I mean? He saw her and he accepted her for who she is, and I believe that that's what a relationship should be. But anyways, besides all of that, Spike gets Tarot of Vampires because Spike is my favorite vampire, and this is my favorite vampire deck as of right now. I might have a new favorite soon, and this is full of sexy vampires, hot, moody vampires, and Spike is a hot, moody vampire. I loved him. I loved all of him, all the versions of him. I loved the version of him that hated Buffy and wanted to kill her just because she was a slayer. I loved the version of him that loved Drusilla. I loved the version of him that didn't love Harmony, but was dealing with Harmony. I even loved Ghost Spike in the Angel show. I love me some Spike. he was he was like this the softest vampire in the world, but he covered it all up with these stupid leather jackets and this punk nature, and I really liked him. He was great. Even when I rewatched it like 20 years later, I still really like Spike. I think I probably like him even more now than I appreciated him when he first hit the scene. I think the funny thing is that I went through this deck and I didn't find one vampire that looked like Spike in here, but I don't care because he gets this one because it's my favorite vampire deck. Now I have 2.25. I got one that's got some vampires in it. And then I have another vampire deck that I got last year. I've had this one for a long time. But I'm getting a new one this year and I may get Tarot V. So I might be having a new favorite vampire deck soon. But for right now, this is my favorite. And since he's my favorite, he gets the Tarot of Vampires. And that is the end of my tag. So I wanted to say thank you to Rumor for creating this. I have spent the last few weeks putting it together and it has been a lot of fun. I have had a rough couple of weeks, y'all. It has been rough, but putting this together has brought some joy to my time, and also has just kind of taken. You know how you just have a project and it's fun, and it just kind of takes your mind off of things. And so, I thank you, Rumor, for bringing this into existence, and I had a good time. So that's it. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel to grow. If you would like to see more from me, you can subscribe. Um, I release videos every couple of days regarding tarot and oracle. So until I see you guys again, stay safe and be blessed. Bye. Oh, and happy Buffy release week.